How often do you use your phone? Before you go to bed? When you wake up? Commuting? On the toilet? Hey! That was on the script. I don't know why. Everyone is constantly on their phones. And you go around, it feels like a dystopian universe. We're becoming zombies and we're just on our phones non-stop. It's kind of scary. It's pretty obvious that we're like idolizing our phones. We spend hours on our phones. My screen time actually has improved a lot, but I've been on my phone for 4 hours and 40 minutes. And I remember last year my screen time was so bad. I had to like stop myself because I had like 8 hours being on my phone. Like I was on Instagram, I was on TikTok, I was on all these different platforms. I've actually been on my phone way longer. I've been on my phone for like probably even 12 hours. I think that's like the maximum I've ever seen. I don't understand how we could use 1/3 of our days on our phone every single day. Like that's 1/3 of your life. So in today's video, I'm going to be taking a break from social media. I've done like a social media detox multiple times in the past, but I've never really documented like what I've learned from it. I kind of just wanted to share my perspective and how like it changed how I viewed social media in a way. Maybe it can encourage you to take a break from social media, and maybe that could be exactly what you need in your walk with Christ if you want to grow. I am not allowed to go on any social media app. And when I mean social media app, I mean TikTok, Instagram, what other social media? YouTube. YouTube is a big one. Guys, I love YouTube. It's a problem. Basically anything related to social media. I can't use Spotify, but I can use Spotify if I'm using it to like listen to Christian music. I can only go on YouTube if I'm listening to a sermon. That's like the only rule I put myself for that, because I do like listening to sermons. Other than that, I cannot go on YouTube. It has to edify me in God. I've literally been staring at this wall for like the past 10 minutes. I refuse to get up. So one of the big reasons why I decided to do this video was because I noticed that my phone was kind of disrupting my prayer life. So when I would wake up in the morning, instead of like praying, I would like go straight to my phone, or right before I would go to sleep, I would like watch YouTube videos, and I would spend a lot more time than I probably would have wanted to just watching videos. And the Bible says we are to meditate on the word day and night. And so I noticed that it was kind of disrupting me and my relationship with Christ. Although I did pray throughout my day, it's not the same when you don't finish and start your day with Jesus. I'm gonna go get ready. Okay, my mom owns a daycare. I see how Gen Alpha is just so obsessed with technology, like it's crazy and scary. Kids are just on their phone non-stop. Like it's just not okay. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, like things were not like this. Kids actually went outside, they actually played. They weren't thinking about skibbity toilet. I don't even know why that's a thing. I think that's creepy and it's weird, but it might just mean I'm getting old. I don't know. How these kids are being fed so much media at such a young age. All they know is social media. It's just really sad. I mean, there's even iPad kids. Like, iPad kids? Like, what? Why is iPad kids like a term, a phrase? Even if we can't maybe change the world, I hope that we can at least be an example to the younger generations as they get older, you know, as a Gen Zer. The way it's going right now, it's just not okay. It's so cold, man. It's crazy. So much snow everywhere. That's why it was really hard for me to record like walking, because I'm not kidding, I almost fell like 3 times. So when I was commuting, it was probably one of the hardest parts of this challenge, because I typically use my phone when I'm commuting, and so I was very bored throughout my commute, but I guess it allowed me to process a lot of my thoughts even in my boredom. I feel like people think boredom is bad. It's not even bad. Like, it's a human emotion, and I think it's necessary to feel boredom. We don't always have to be feeding our reward system. We don't always need dopamine. It's an addiction. Like, that's not healthy at all. Social media apps are literally made for you to constantly be on them. I don't think that people should let those type of things control them. No wonder like this generation is probably one of the most depressed generations, because we're just constantly online. We should use the boredom that comes from not using our phones, you know, to meditate on God instead. If you're just constantly meditating on the things that you're scrolling in, which majority of it is not positive, it's very negative, it's really hard to hear the voice of God. It's like you're constantly hearing all these arguments on all these things that are going on in the internet. You're not able to think clearly. Like, people are just thinking about all these things and they're overwhelming their minds with a ton of stuff about random people's lives. When they come to reality, they see that, they look at their own lives, they're comparing themselves, and they're not able to clearly see the truth, you know? And I think that the devil has definitely used social media to even confuse Christians. Because you're constantly online, the enemy can easily just put videos on your feed that are encouraging you to go in places that you don't need to be in.
Hey vlog! In lab, and it's Valentine's Day. All we did was freeze and melt things like 4 times.
So fun. I honestly cannot believe I forgot it's Valentine's Day today. I literally remembered this morning and I was like, oh, it's Valentine's Day. I forgot the date. I literally couldn't tell until I saw like people wearing coquette, like those bows. Everyone's wearing those bows. I was like, what? Why? I guess it's because it's Valentine's Day. Duh. Finally home. Cry, baby. Don't cry.
When did you open it?
So Camila wanted to give you guys a hug. And then right after, I showed off my chocolate that my brother gave me. He gave us a box with like gifts, and I got a card game, so I decided to play with Zoe because she wanted to play with me. And let's just say she cheated a little bit. I let her cheat. I was like, whatever, it's just a game. She ended up stealing my taco at the very end, and so I ended up losing. So good to her. She won.
So I win.
Hello you guys, so I just came home. It's literally 9 right now. Like, I literally was so into my life right now that I completely forgot I was doing this video. I feel like when you are not constantly on your phone or you're thinking about social media, it's almost like you just get so lost in time. You're doing things that you actually have wanted to do. I will say that there is some positives I'm already noticing from just blocking out social media early on. I think that I consider myself an introvert. Like, I would say I'm someone who really regains their energy when they're on their own. Whenever I'm like with people all day long, like I just feel really drained at some point. I'm just like, I need a break. Like, I just need to go far away and go into a cave. I feel like ever since I just kind of broke off from social media, it's almost like my social battery lengthened. I will also say, because I was more social, I found it way easier to like pray. I wasn't struggling as much. I didn't want to end my day going on YouTube, and I was already doing this fast, so it was like a lot easier for me to be like, okay, instead of going on YouTube, I'm gonna take this time to pray and just go to sleep. Because I'm not just listening to YouTubers all day long or watching someone else's life on Instagram or TikTok, like I can actually work on the meaningful connections that are around me. Hello guys, I'm gonna go to school soon, so I'm getting ready. I've been doing other stuff. Like, while I was getting ready, I was listening to her preaching on my phone, and honestly it's been really nice, you know, just to connect with God. Yeah, I'm going back outside.
She's going back outside.
Yes, I have 1 AirPod in my pocket. 1 AirPod, that's all I need. I didn't bring my Bible, Jeffrey. I'm getting my Bible. It's my mission to get my Bible. So afterwards, we literally just had a Bible study and we got to chill out and head back home. That was my day. That was my night, actually. That's not daytime, it's nighttime. I do think that I will incorporate this habit more in my life, where I will try to limit my screen time, first of all, and second of all, once a week I want to try to not be online, like do one of these type of fasts, because that way I am able to really just get in tune with God and not be so overstimulated with so many things. I feel like society just makes us feel like we need our phones, like we need social media, we need to know what's happening, when in reality that's not really true. Like, although I did say this in the video, I will say that it is really hard to get off social media, especially because it's where we meet a lot of people. Like, I've noticed that a lot of the people I know, like maybe I don't have their phone numbers, but I do have their Instagrams, and so like sometimes you don't want to be on social media, but you kind of have to, because that's like the way you connect with people in the society that we live in. Like, in a way it's good, but in the same way it's kind of sad, because it's not like the real way that we humans are created to socialize. It's also like a good way to connect with people regardless. We as humans have lived without phones for years, for centuries even. We just recently started technology, and now that we're raising kids, iPad kids, overall I just think that, you know, we need to beware. We have to make sure that we're stewarding our time correctly, because a lot of times we complain to God like, God, I don't have time, I want to work in this area, I want to work in this ministry. Well, how are you supposed to do that when you are not even administering the time that you have now? You're not administering the gifts that you have now. Although this video is centered around phones as an idol, like social media as an idol, I know that this may not apply to you. Maybe phones aren't your idol. Maybe it's not social media. It could be anything. You know, this could apply to any idol. So I don't want to like limit this to just phones. I just did phones because it's like a big idol in today's society, and I'm pretty sure that everyone at some point has idolized their phone by how much we use it, how much we tend to depend on it. I want to actually bring up a Bible verse. It's Galatians 4:8-9. It says, "Formerly, when you did not know God, you were enslaved to those that by nature are not God's. But now that you have come to know God, or rather to be known by God, how can you turn back again to the weak and worthless elementary principles of the world? Whose slaves you want to be once more?" So like, once you come to Christ, like, you need to be cautious. Like, where are you putting most of your mind at? Like, where are you putting most of your time in? Okay, if you notice that you're putting something above God, like, you really have to be careful, because it's not in a position that you want to be in. You don't want to be enslaved to these idols. You don't want to be enslaved to the former ways of living. We are called to be different from the world, and so you're gonna have to leave these former things away and surrender these idols to Christ. I don't know what your idol may be, but this is definitely very important and something that you have to consider as you grow more in Christ. God does not want us to be that way. He doesn't want us to be enslaved to our phones or to an idol in general, because in reality we're using this thing that we think is making us feel happier, but it's actually enslaving us. When Christ came to set the captives free, to set us free, we cannot be living like the world. We cannot be living in a cycle of just constant enslavement. Sure, it's cool to be on social media. I'm not saying that you should completely go off on social media, because if I'm being honest, I post about Christ, you know, I like YouTube, but the only difference is I do not want to make it my idol. It's only God who sets free. It's only God who satisfies the soul. This is your video to remind you that nothing in this life will satisfy you. You gotta depend wholeheartedly on the Lord.